from clarkwoods.com. This is Horribly Off Topic, episode number 153. I am too excited.
Yeah. You have way too much fucking energy.
I'm trying to run past this headache that I've had. For
your shirt is
loud.
It's loud just like you are right now.
I'm so loud. Where is my hawk sound?
I'm so stuffy. I've been stuffy for at least a week and a half.
Yeah.
Like I was sick a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Or was it last week? I don't even fucking know.
Like how sick you've been.
But like since then, like I've just been stuffy and I don't feel bad. I don't feel feverish. Otherwise, I've just got a lot of fucking boogers in my head and I'm just like got phlegm and it's gross. And
That's sexy.
No, there's nothing sexy about phlegm.
Title. No. When you say the word stuffy, it's funny. I haven't thought about this in years. But my brother and I, maybe more me, maybe I should not include him in this. Maybe
it's fine. He's not going to listen.
Maybe he would be upset that I include him in this. Or maybe he'll be upset if I don't because he actually coined this term.
Oh, he did. So then
maybe. I don't know. It happened so far and long ago, I'm not sure. But we called our stuffed animals stuffies. Stuffies, not plushies, not stuffed animals, not whatever else you might call your stuffed animals. Our stuffed animals were stuffies. And I think if any of these audio tapes still survived, you could probably find a prepubescent, high-pitched Chris and high-pitched John talking about their stuffies on...
Why haven't we played these on the show?
I'm saying I don't think they exist anymore. I don't think they're...
I'd have to go over...
The truth is out there, but not these tapes.
I'd have to go over to my dad's house and kind of rifle through my old cassette tapes, but I definitely could find some old tapes of me doing a thing that I called Talk Show USA.
Talk Show USA. Now, when if you had to guess, Steve, when did Talk Shoe?
I was talking into a shoe. I was like Maxwell Smart.
When did Talk Show USA run? Like, when did this start?
I think maybe 1989, 1990 was the first one that I did, and it was myself and my cousin.
Yeah.
And we did a little show on my little handheld tape recorder, and then I think I did a couple other ones as the years went by. Was it
Fisher Price? Was it like a real kids recorder, or did he like go out and get the grown up one?
No, I think I just had a boombox that actually was able to record sound.
Back in the day, that was a thing. They had mics built in.
Yeah.
The very first one that John and I had access to had that. It had two little sort of rounded nubbins on the top that served as.
Maybe we need to find these tapes, and we need to have a very, very special episode.
A very, very special. I don't think they exist.
I mine do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll just punch myself in the nuts so I get a really high pitched voice, and I'll pretend I'll reenact them.
And you know there are other things. I mean, I think somewhere over in that little entertainment center, or not, where my media DVDs and whatnot are. I think
it's where the magic happens.
Yes, it's where Magic the Gathering happens. We sit on the media center.
I had a media center PC once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, right before I got my first Mac.
That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have that thing over there, and I think somewhere in that area is the final episend of Simulated Itch Relief, my college radio show, not the podcast I used to do. So
I ended up getting rid of all of those tapes of my college radio show a few years ago. I was in a purging mood, and I got rid of them all. But I think there are some old VHS tapes, if they still play, of me doing commercials. That was a thing that apparently I was known for with my relatives. They still tease me about it today, that if they had the video camera around, in those days video cameras were not as omnipresent as they are today. Mm-hmm. If they had a video
considering everybody has one in their phone.
Right. If they had a video camera around, I was liable to step up to the video camera and do a live ad read for some godforsaken thing that I had made up right there on the spot.
So it would be like a fake product, not like
fake product. Fake products.
Fake products, fake news.
Fake news, fake products, fake boobs, fake testicles, fake...
They do have fake testicles that you can give your dog.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I know they have fake testicles you can give your car.
No, yeah,
These
no,
nuts,
yeah,
right?
you don't want to truck nuts or
Truck
whatever.
nuts. That's
Yeah,
right.
but if you neuter your dog, you can actually give them prosthetic testicles. And
That must make the dog feel a lot better.
I don't know.
I heard a podcast this week.
You did? Wow, that's weird.
Well, I've heard a lot.
That's not something that people do.
No. Certainly not anybody listening to this.
What? That makes no fucking sense.
I listened to a podcast, and on this podcast, they were talking about one of the co-hosts having recently purchased a dog. His kids had been wanting a dog, and this guy, John Siracusa, I probably mispronounced that. He's
Saragusa.
Saragusa.
Probably Saragusa.
It's Siracusa, but I think
Is it a QU?
No,
or is
no,
it
it's
GU?
It's Siracusa. Syracuse.
Jacuz.
Anyway, he is more tightly wound than me, right? Which makes it a pleasure to listen to this podcast, because when I'm feeling like everyone's telling me that I take too long to make decisions, or I overthink things, I go and I
You
listen.
definitely didn't overthink wearing that shirt.
I will. Have we said what the shirt is?
No.
All right. Well, they're just gonna have to stay tuned.
Maybe the picture for the episode that you put on the website would be a
My
picture
shirt.
of that shirt.
So Syracuse had bought a dog. Had decided.
What kind of dog?
It's a mutt, but it's part beagle, part something else.
Oh, cool. I like the something else.
Yeah. And the title of the episode, Steve, was Dog-Shaped Dog. And entering into this, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but I'm in. I'm interested to hear what this is all about. And so Syracuse used to be on a podcast called Hypercritical, and he is a guy who has very particular tastes.
Make sure you mention him when you talk about this episode on Twitter.
So he can hear me butcher his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And me even more butcher his name. Have you ever heard his name said?
I have. I've heard him try to teach people, try to say how his name, and I didn't get it.
Maybe we can get him on the show and be like, all right, boys, this is how you say it.
This is how you say Syracuse. So, at any rate, I'm listening to the show. It's the title of the episode is Dog-Shaped Dog. I always listen to the show. The show is Reconcilable Differences. John is a guy of very particular taste. To get on his nerves, or not get on his nerves, but it's kind of a joke back in the day on one of his other podcasts. They used to, the people from Cards Against Humanity, instead of having them do an ad read for Cards Against Humanity, they would send John a toaster to review, because he has such particular tastes that sending him, including on toasters, that sending him a toaster to review and listening to him review a toaster for 5 minutes was hilarious, because he'd find all sorts of things to complain about the toaster. So I'm very interested entering into this episode about what he's going to say about dogs.
I'm pretty particular about toasters.
I did not know this.
Come to think of it, like the toaster we have isn't great.
Yeah.
It's cheap, and I've gotten the levels. Like, I figured out what level I need to put it on when I want to toast my bagel or toast.
Yeah.
But like the ones at work, like the I was in one building when I first started, and now I'm in another building.
Yeah.
When I was in the first building, all they have is like the toaster oven, which is fine if you're going to be toasting a sandwich that already has like the stuff on it.
Yeah.
But it's not so fine if you just want to toast a couple of slices of bread or whatever else.
Right. Yeah.
But the one in the new building, it's a toaster oven, but it's really loud. It's like electronic. So like you have to put it on like the toast setting, and then you put it on like the heat setting, and then like level 3, which is some pretty light on. I think it goes up to 10.
Yeah.
You'd think it wouldn't take that long. It the timer. It has a timer. It starts ticking down for 5 minutes at level 3.
5 minutes for
5
toast.
Minutes to fucking do
5
toast.
minutes for toast seems a bit excessive.
Yeah, I think so.
I
mean, it does a decent job of toasting.
Yeah.
But again, like most toasters, is inconsistent. And I'm always putting it on like the middle of the rack. It's not like I'm changing up where I'm putting the bread.
Right. You are consistent.
Yeah, but the toaster
itself,
is inconsistent.
the toaster itself should be fired.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'll just
our robot overlords. I hope they're not going to evolve from toasters. That's
let's hope not, because I'm really putting the screws to toasters today.
Indeed. If you were to
Which actually wouldn't be a bad thing if they were a toaster.
put a screw to a toaster,
Yeah, I mean, they might need them.
they might. Then maybe that's why they're inconsistent.
Yeah.
If you were to describe in your mind what a dog-shaped dog would be, what would you say? So all I've told you so far about me listening to this episode is that it was called Dog-Shaped Dog. This guy is very particular about the things that he likes. I guess you could take this question one of two ways. I'm interested to hear your take. Either A, what is a dog-shaped dog to you, Steve Woodbury? Or B, what kind of dog is your kind of dog?
Well, I mean, my kind of dog is not what I first think of when I think of a dog.
Okay.
So they're two different things. Like when
Okay.
I think of a dog, I think of like a lab or a retriever or something like that. Those are the two that like immediately
I think he would agree with you that those are dog-shaped dogs.
jump. Yeah, those are in fact dog-shaped dogs. They're very much dogs. But like the dog that is my favorite is more of a corgi.
Okay.
Little guy.
Yeah, little guy. Okay. I think I'm trying to remember what he said. I could completely misquote him here, but I remember that what he was looking for was not a big dog and not a tiny dog, right? He wanted like a medium-sized dog, and then he started ruling out certain dogs based on the length of their legs. That was one thing that was.
He wanted short legs.
No, he didn't want short legs.
So he didn't want a corgi or a weenie dog. Or
he didn't
whatever.
want anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't want that.
That's the technical term, weenie dog.
Weenie dog, yeah. That he also, I'm pretty sure, didn't want anything with kind of a squished face. So pugs, Boston Terriers.
Well, they have breathing problems, so
exactly. So that's part of what he was.
just like me right now with my fucking mucus.
You're a Boston Terrier right here.
No, I mean I have a nose. It's
You're
sticking
not a
out.
Boston Terrier. What was your mascot in college? They have one.
In college, we were
Yeah.
the Rams.
The Rams. Is that better? Well, our high school mascot was the lion.
Yeah.
I don't know. You like a lion or a ram?
I would go for a lion over a ram.
Me too.
I mean, I am a Leo as far as my zodiac sign. Guess when my birthday is, guys?
I like lions. I couldn't go on mine. I'd be scales. Like there's no football team that's like the
Was
Scales.
that Libra?
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be a Libra themed football team anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's just like I can't decide. Do I want to tackle him? Do I not want to tackle him? Oh, I lost the football. No.
Game.
Yeah, so like no squash faces because of the breeding problems, the legs. Anyway, so they end up then they're like maybe we'll go for a purebred, right? But then he does a lot of reading about the purebreds.
They have health issues
they have
because
health
of
issues.
all the years of inbreeding, basically.
Right. Yep. So he's like, well, we're going to go on to I forget which. They're going to do a rescue dog or not, adopt a dog. But then they're like, our last dog, which we had before the kids were born, was an older dog, and our kids, I think
dogs eventually they start off as puppies, but then
Yeah.
eventually become an older dog. So like the dog that they had before the kids were born was originally a puppy.
But when they owned it, it was an older dog.
Oh, okay.
They
So
bought it. They got it as an older dog. So
Oh,
this
okay.
time around, he was thinking, I think maybe I would like to get a puppy, and I think I got the sense maybe that his kids were more interested in like a puppy.
Well, yeah, I mean, kids are obviously going to be interested in a puppy until they realize the immense amount of work that is involved with training a puppy.
Right. And so I think that sort of like ends up being the punchline of the episode is these very particular, he helps pick out the dog. They get there when the litter of puppies is born, and they get sort of like third pick out of the 8 or so puppies there are. They get the puppy that they want, and now the puppy is a handful. And so there's the comedy ensues as they try to train the dog, and he is at the point where as much attention as he gave to either of his two children when they were babies and toddlers is going to this dog, because this dog at this point is so energetic, regardless of how much you walk her or any of the other stuff, that you can't just let her loose in the house. And he's having such a hard time, and it was.
He needs to get the dog whisperer or something like that.
I guess, and he only believes in positive. He's read all the stuff, and he only believes in positive reinforcement for the dog. So he's like, I'm not. They at the end of the episode, they're like, you're gonna get tons of advice here, and he tries to preempt. He's like, listen, if you're gonna tell me to hit my dog in the nose or yell at my dog or any of this stuff,
you don't yell, but you have to be forceful when the dog is doing something wrong. You can't just like. I mean, I've never had a dog, but I've read up enough about it to know that you can't just let the dog walk over you, because like it's a pecking order thing with dogs. So they want to know that you're in charge, and if they're doing something that you don't want them to do, and you're not, at least doing something. And I'm not saying hit your dog, because it's a bad idea, because then the dog's going to be scared of you, and you don't want the dog to be scared of you. You want the dog to respect you.
Right.
So you want to be forceful, and say, I don't know if you have to say it loudly, and then scare the dog a little bit, so they know that what they're doing is inappropriate. And reward them, copiously for doing things that you like. So, you have to have that balance. You can't just give them a bunch of stuff when they do good things, but just look the other way when they do bad things.
Right.
Because then they won't know that they're doing a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Fair point. I have not done any reading on it. I thought
I have because I have someone in my life that is
would very much like a dog.
Very much like a dog someday, and I want to be prepared for when that day eventually comes.
That day arrives.
Yeah.
When there's doggy delivery.
Yeah.
Does she have the same taste in dogs as you? Are you like agreed on the corgi?
I think. Well, yeah, we'll probably get some sort of a mixed breed, but probably a littler dog, maybe a corgi mix or something like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a purebred.
Did we share? I can't remember if we shared the link of the corgi, like that any dog mixed with a corgi always looks like a corgi playing dress up as that dog. I can't remember if we shared that.
little guy.
I will try to find that for the show notes. Steve, we had an email this week.
Oh, we did. Let's read it.
Let's switch trends. I mean, because as much fun it is to talk about dogs.
I do like getting zinged every once in a while.
And this is a good opportunity to say all the things we just got wrong about dogs. Or
we might have got things right about dogs. We might have like dog experts calling us. Calling us.
Dog whisperers.
Dog whisperers saying, Steve had a good point there.
Yeah. You can send that stuff to hot@clarkwoods.com. Just want to drop it right in there because we're moving into email. Just say, if you got something to say to us, say it.
Yeah, say it hot@clarkwoods.
Say it loud and say it proud.
Don't interrupt me when I'm saying the fucking email again, so people didn't get it the first time.
I'm sorry, Steve.
It's fine. hot@clarkwoods.com is the email address. Send us copious amounts of email, and if it's garbage, or if it's just saying that we're assholes and that we should die, we're not going to read it on the air. But if it's something intelligent and or funny, if you're going to razz us, do it in a funny way, and we'll definitely read it on the fucking.
What if the particular broflake that's writing to us it believes that they are making a very intelligent point about how we're assholes and we should die?
Did we get one that
no,
you didn't
I'm
send?
I'm saying hypothetically, we get a broflake writing into us, and they're like,
"You're digging that one, huh?"
I love that term. It's them and their poor little feelings. I mean, are we the arbiters of what's intelligent, Steve?
Yes, because it's our fucking show.
Okay. All right, well, let's see if this is intelligent. This is an email from friend of the show, Brian, with the subject line, "A longer email."
Which is funny because it didn't seem as long as the last one.
Brian writes, "Hi, guys. First, I want to apologize for my typo where I wrote Gohan instead of Goten. Goten. I'm sorry. First, I want to apologize for my typo where I wrote Gohan instead of Goten. Thank you for correcting me, Steve.
At least you're saying it right.
I promise never to write a rushed email after you asked me if I wrote the email I said I was going to write while packing for vacation again.
You better not.
Second, in that email I wrote, I had linked a picture of Gogeta and Vegito. Is that how you say it?
I think you got those ones right there.
To show how they looked completely different and illustrate how important the differences between the fusions are, because they look totally different. because one has earrings and the other doesn't. You kind of ruined the whole joke by ignoring this.
Yes, so we well, I don't remember the pictures either. Like it was, I don't know if it was.
I gotta go back.
Did it fall off the forward when you forwarded it to me?
Power creep. It was the power creep one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. I get it. See, he's all fancy, and if you look at the email has links in it.
Oh,
Gogeta and Vegito's names are linked. They weren't actually.
Wow,
those
look
are
at
the
that.
same character.
See, that was the joke.
That's
the joke. That's the joke. Okay. Fucking go back to the email and continue. You're hamming it up.
I know
you are hamming it up.
I'm not hamming it up. It's just taking me more taps than I expected to get back to the email. Third, writes Brian. Third, MTV did not invent reality television.
Okay.
PBS did. An American Family is widely considered the first reality television program. I originally came across this program when reading Raymond Williams' book Television, which I only bring up because he describes the complaints of the editing by the family involved, which were similar to reality television participants in more contemporary shows. Chris, I'm going to give Steve a break on this. It's not like he has an educational background in media studies, but come on, a real New Warriors fan would have known that. Yes, indeed.
It's not like
you are right.
It's funny because I've never heard of it until this email.
Finally, I give Chris credit.
I blame Jason Harrington for not schooling. Oh, maybe it's because we weren't really talking about it, back in 2003, 2004 when I was
thought it was a passing fad.
Taking those media studies classes. We weren't really because
they didn't think it was a passing fad. It was pretty obvious it was.
I think it was, yeah, but
television.
I don't think it had made it into. I don't think that, as far as textbooks or the way people were teaching the media, I don't think it had made it into sort of lesson plans at that point. Yeah. That's maybe why I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
So, give me a fucking little bit of a break. Right. But thank you for razzing me.
I had a student this year. I don't want to say too much because I don't know if the student would want me to share. But
I'm also blaming Professor Robert Johnson Jr.
Okay.
And Derek DePask.
Okay.
I'll give the other professors a break.
My student was writing nonfiction for his senior project, and he was on a reality TV show. So I learned a lot about reality TV this year. And that's probably all I should say. He was on a show that
was on television.
He was on television.
Okay, let's just leave it at that.
And the
was it Bachelor in Paradise?
It was not Bachelor in Paradise.
Fuck.
But he did have lots to say about the editing. I think that's one of the things that is pretty consistent about when you actually get to learn about these behind the scenes things.
I mean, it's that's with anything. It went back. If you go back to. What was it? The episode of The Simpsons. I mean, this is a cartoon, so this is a terrible example because it's fiction based on maybe things that are based in real life.
The Simpsons.
The one where they had the babysitter and Homer had the gummy Venus de Milo was sticking to her pants, the back of her pants, as he was driving her home, and he took it off of her pants and he ate it, and he was like, "Oh, sweet candy." But then, there was a video shot, and it was on an Inside Edition kind of show.
Oh, I don't like where this is going, Steve. And did Marge see it?
And it was "Oh, that sweet, sweet can." It was really badly edited to make him say that.
Homer.
Yeah.
Poor Homer.
All he wanted was the candy. So they went to some gummy art exhibit, and then they ended up eating all of it or something. It's nonsense. And they stole the gummy Venus de Milo.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. You shouldn't steal art. Art belongs in a museum.
Or in your belly.
Or in your belly. Get in my belly.
That was a really good Scotsman. You've been working on it, haven't you?
I guess. It's one word. I had to say it really softly.
Yeah. Get in my belly.
Did I ever tell you the story about how? No, I didn't. But when I was in The Importance of Being Earnest in
What, last year? What?
Did I tell that story?
No, we were fucking didn't we do it last year?
We did do it. Yeah.
Am I fucking nuts?
No, you're not nuts. When I was in The Importance of Earnest in college, I in case you are just joining us, in case 153 episodes, like this is your first one, in case. When I was in college, got a dialogue tape to learn how to speak like a traditional British butler, and I listened to it for like 20 or 20 or 30 minutes. Learned enough of it to get past it, and realized if I just dropped my voice, like not an octave, but like, I don't know, what's a fraction of an octave? Just drop my voice a little bit, then
just a lower intonation.
Yes, then that plus the little bit of the tape I'd listened to led me to my award-winning performance as Lane in The Importance of Being Earnest.
You won an award?
In my own mind.
Oh, okay. I was actually really excited for you that you won an award, but you fucking lied to me.
No. Finally, writes Brian, I give Chris credit because split levels suck and I hate them as well.
Well, it's Becky that was the one that said that she hates split levels. I don't know if that was a joke too that I just totally missed.
No, I think I talked about hating split levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were piggybacking on
I was piggybacking.
Yeah.
At least in the way they are used in New England, writes Brian, in hilly areas, they actually make sort of a sense, which I agree. If they're built into a hill, I can totally see what's happening there. I think my main thing with the split level is going in and having that tiny little landing when you first walk in, and then having to decide up or down. Like I'm not.
It's typically
I've already
up.
made a decision to go into
a
the
house.
I'm not ready to make another decision that quickly.
Wow, you really have a problem with decisions. You goddamn Libra.
I totally fit my sign. I mean, so like we should say, except for the shirt, right? Like,
yeah,
I
mean that is a fucking loud shirt.
I did not weigh that at all.
All you have to do is just force yourself into a decision like that.
I guess. So, for those people who have been following us all along, when we first started recording the show, we recorded on my iPad because at the time we had
one microphone.
With one microphone, no turntables. But plenty of bad jokes. We've always had those in great supply.
I'm gonna let you sit in it.
No, so I had an iPad, and that was my mobile computer. And then we wanted to do two mics, so we started recording on my computer, either at my house or at your place.
My laptop at my place.
And then eventually we moved.
And then my laptop became like just too old. I think when did I get that thing?
A while ago. It's a white plastic MacBook.
Yeah,
it's old
with a melty bottom.
And so then eventually we started using Becky's laptop. But today we are using my laptop, which
is
a
brand new spanking
MacBook Pro. The not the one with the touch bar, because that is a fucking gimmick. It's what some people in the Mac community call the MacBook Escape. Because it's got a big ass escape key for like the escape key is elongated for God knows why. I've never liked laptops. I've always been a desktop person. I was saying this to somebody earlier today. When I was growing up, my grandpa had a roll top desk in his office, and whenever he wasn't working in the garage, when he was doing shit in the house, he did his shit at a desk. And I like to do my shit at a desk. But
you can still do your shit at a desk with a laptop, Chris. You do realize that.
I do realize that, but I don't. I still, like, even now I have it. I don't like the idea of the trackpad being in the middle of my hands having to rest on the.
I mean, you can even get you can get a monitor and hook it up to that monitor and have like a mouse and another keyboard.
I am aware.
Okay, I'm just saying.
But you pay a lot more for having a laptop, and if the main thing you're going to do is have it sit on a desk connected to another monitor, and all that always seemed a little silly to me. But I'm teaching a course in the fall where I definitely need to have a computer running Mac OS because there's programs I need to show them that run only on Mac OS and not on iOS. I had I kept adding more and more reasons why I needed a laptop. And I don't know, 2 or 3 reasons in, my wife was like, yeah, go ahead and get it. And I still was like, what about this reason? What about this? She's like, you can go get it. And I was like, I don't know if I should go get it. You should go get it. Until finally, after a month solid of being like, maybe I should get it, maybe I shouldn't get it. And like a week solid of being like, I think I'm going to finally go get it. Like on Wednesday or Thursday, I finally went out and dropped a big chunk of change. I mean, I got a teacher discount because Apple laptops, you get an educator discount. But
well, good job being an educator.
But it took me a long time to make that decision, Steve.
I know. I'm right there with you. I mean,
I don't like spending money.
I'm right. Like I said, I'm right there with you. I mean, occasionally I'll throw down some cash for a Nintendo Switch or whatever, but
What about a Super NES Classic?
Oh, fucking hell! All right,
you gave me the opportunity. That was a good transition.
No, yes, it was a great transition. Now you brought it up. Now it's no longer a great transition.
Well, usually you're the one that brings up that it's not a great transition, so I was going to take that job for today.
So, if you're not into the video gaming world and you're not aware of video gaming news, I'm talking to people that aren't you, Chris.
I don't like having fun.
Aren't in the room. The Super Nintendo or Super NES Classic Edition,
yes,
is slated to be released in September.
So, which means you might get one by like September of next year.
No, the thing about this is, like with the NES Classic, which came out last fall.
Yeah,
I think that it was released in right around Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hot Christmas item that absolutely nobody could get. Except for apparently scalpers on fucking eBay. I mean, if you look online now, they're still going for about $200, and it was supposed to be $60 retail. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's fucking bullshit.
What I want to know, Steve, is I get the impression that this is a pattern for Nintendo.
It has always been a pattern for Nintendo,
what is
except for well, I mean. I think it's like, well, in the olden days, in the days of yore, I think, well, when we got, I mean, I think the same Christmas
probably
is when both of our families got a Nintendo. I think it was the Christmas of 1988 or something like that.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
So like at that point, like, back in 85 when it first came out in the States, like, not everybody had it because everybody was still a little bit scared off from like, Atari and all that shit. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of other video game companies just making a bunch of garbage games. And I think it took like 3 or so years before like the Nintendo could have established itself as something that, this isn't bullshit.
Right.
We're going to be around for a while. You can make this investment.
Yeah.
And, the Nintendo, the regular Nintendo was around for at least another 2 years after that.
Yeah.
If not a little bit more. I think the Super Nintendo came out in 1991. Mm-hmm. So, like, it was at least, 3 more years of regular Nintendo. Right. And then some, like, there was a little bit of overlap between the systems.
Yeah.
And I think Super Nintendo didn't have issues with the supply, and the N64 I don't think had issues with the supply.
Okay.
And the GameCube definitely didn't because no one apparently wanted the GameCube. But the Wii was when things started going kind of cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was artificial, the shortages of the Wii.
Yeah.
Or if it was them not realizing how popular it was going to be.
Okay.
So when
because they had just come off the GameCube, so maybe they were underestimating. Okay.
I mean, the Wii was basically a slightly more powerful GameCube.
Right. But it had a new interaction model.
Yeah, it had the friggin' motion controls, which, oh my God, we all love motion controls, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
I think this when you're playing Mario Kart on either like the Wii U or the Switch, there's a little like when you're playing online that has like little messages you can say while you're waiting for the match to start, and one of them, which is the most this is the most silly thing to say, is I'm using motion controls because no one is fucking using motion controls. It's fucking shitty as hell. It's not easy to do. It's not fucking intuitive. Like it doesn't work.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, motion controls. I mean, the new game ARMS came out. I have yet to play it. And I'm just kind of a little bit peeved at them for not putting Luffy into it, because, like, Jesus Christ, like, you have a game where people have stretchy arms that punch each other from across the room. How do you not have, like, fucking Straw Hat Luffy in there?
I don't know, Steve.
You're dropping the ball, Nintendo.
I heard somebody in the, because I don't follow the video game news as much as you do, but I did see somebody make the case as the Super Nintendo, the SNES Classic started to be announced, that the Super Nintendo was the best game console ever. Would you rank it up that high?
I would rank it up that high.
Yeah.
I think that some of the games I look most fondly on were on that system.
What made it such a leap up from? Was it a big leap from the NES? I mean, I remember fondly a lot of the games on that system. It's funny I say that, but I don't know if I could name a game on that system.
I mean, like Super Mario World, like was the launch title, came with it. It was a great game. Zelda: Link to the Past, I think, was one of the best, if not the best, Legend of Zelda game.
Okay. Because I remember Super Mario 3, right?
Super Mario 3 is a great game,
and that was.
And I don't like. I'm not saying that Super Mario World is better than Super Mario 3, because it kind of isn't.
Yeah, but it's like.
But it's a great game. It was a great launch title. Like, it was like something that you could just have.
I wonder if I was smoking weed without realizing it, because like a lot of the SNES years, I don't remember it all, and then I remember.
But you weren't smoking weed.
I remember going to somebody's house around the time that the N64 came out and seeing whatever Mario title was with that, and that was the first one that 3D. I remember that was 3D, and it was like a third person behind him as opposed to a side scroller, and I was just really weirded out by that. And then I remember other games for the N64, but like I remember playing Mortal Kombat, and that was an SNES.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but I mean, as far as like console gaming, like Japanese RPGs, like the Super Nintendo, I think, was the best for those.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate we didn't get a lot of the really great ones. We didn't get Dragon Quest 5 or 6 until like fucking they came out of the DS in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And but like, you know, Final Fantasy 2, which was Final Fantasy 4 in Japan.
Right.
We never got Final Fantasy 5 until many years later.
Right.
And then Final Fantasy 6, which is Final Fantasy 3 here. Great games. Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, like just so many great like RPGs were like on the Super Nintendo, and it was like absurd how like you know, I think Chrono Trigger is you know, everything is debatable, so is debatably one of the best games ever. And it's just really great, and it's one of those games that, you know, I've played through so many goddamn times, because it's one of those games that has multiple endings, so you can play it multiple times, and it's not going to get you to the same destination each time.
How much do you think the SNES being revered like that is the result of like people who are our age, like getting that system at the right time, and how much of it is that it is like a system that stands, like, could a kid today studying the history of video games look back on it as fondly as you, who like kind of got it when you were preteen, teen?
I think so, because as far as the way people were producing games, I think back in, you know, the early 80s, when people were creating games for Atari, not a lot of care was put into those console games. Occasionally there'd be a fun, really great idea game. Like, I mean, something as simple. Do you remember Adventure for Atari?
I know. I don't know if I ever actually played it, but I do. I've seen videos.
You were a block. You were just a box going around a screen in different castles and whatnot, and you could get a sword, and there was a duck that was a dragon that you could kill with the sword, and then there was a trophy, and if you get the trophy back to the beginning of the game, you win. And it's a simple concept, but like it was done well, and like there was different like difficulty levels, and it was a cool game. Like it was really fun, and the games like that were the exception, not necessarily the rule.
Right, yeah.
Like, because if you look at, like, the rushed Pac-Man port for the Atari, it's like ding, 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 like that's not the noise that Pac-Man makes when he dies.
Miss Pac-Man was better though, right? Is that the traditional wisdom on that?
Well, as far as not necessarily better, but less predictable, I think.
Okay.
I think the way the ghosts behave in the original Pac-Man made it so someone like Billy Mitchell
I just
could
meant
have
like the port. Was the port more faithful?
I don't remember. Okay. I don't remember the Atari port of Miss Pac-Man.
Like these are random things that I've picked up in half paying attention to video game journalism.
So I mean, and then the Nintendo came along, and they had a more stringent like quality assurance process as far as things that they would allow to be on the system.
Yeah.
And so I mean, their first party products were typically really good, but some third party products like things from Capcom or Konami or things like that, they would end up usually being pretty good.
Yeah.
But then things like from LJN and other fucking production companies that produce garbage. And so it's I think the companies that were on the higher echelon, like like the Capcom or Konami or Square or whatever, once the Super Nintendo rolled around, they really came into their own as far as creating games.
They had just that much more power to flex their muscle.
Well, it wasn't necessarily. Well, it wasn't necessarily that. It was that I think they were just better at figuring out what they wanted to do for a game, and having a little bit more of storage capacity or whatever, to create that vision. And I think that's why the 16-bit era is so revered, and that like the beginning of when the PlayStation first came out. And when the N64 first came out, like that was like when the shift to like let's do 3D games,
right?
And so the gimmick was at least with like CD based games, it was like we have this 3D game and here's some full motion video because we have it on a fucking CD, so we can put a little bit more on here. But there's like epic loading times and whatnot, and
and that's the time that I really lost interest.
But yeah, I mean, but eventually, once technology sort of caught up to what they were trying to do, things got better. But that was like, I think that may be why things are more revered in like the late 16-bit era, because like they were able to do so much, like with pixel art graphics.
The constraints are. I'm a big believer in constraints and how constraints can help a creator, and I think that's an interesting point. Is they've got just enough power and just enough tools to create something awesome, but they don't have, like you say, the CD to be like, oh, we could put like mini movies in between bits of the game that are like really horribly rendered and take forever to load, and slow down the pace of this immersive experience. Just the 3D thing is still, I feel like I missed the boat somewhere. So still any game, I mean, when you guys showed me, what was it?
Breath of the Wild, the new Zelda game? Or
no, that one, even though I think because it was Zelda and because it was Link that was the main character, that one I could kind of start to understand, or maybe I'm just starting to finally understand it. But I do feel like I missed a boat somewhere there in the N64 PlayStation era, so that when I saw the Super Mario 64 and when I saw things like it was the Star Wars Battlefront that you guys had, where you're like the world is completely open to you. You can go any way you want. For me, I just can't wrap my head around that stuff. Like I want to just go from one side to the other. Like I hated. I remember hating Super Mario, the original Super Mario Bros. And you couldn't go backwards. Like I like to be able to go backwards, but I like the sort of the two-dimensional side scroller. I guess that'll just always be my bread.
I mean, I enjoy a two-dimensional side scroller like anybody else. Yeah. I mean, I'll play a Mega Man or Super Mario Brothers or whatever else till the cows come home. Although everybody, a lot of people have opinions, and a lot of people think that Zelda 2, we brought this up back when I beat it.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Zelda 2 is one of the worst games in the Zelda franchise because of the fact that it's a side-scroller and not like a top-down like adventure game or 3D,
like a third person. They haven't done any first-person Zeldas, have they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, that would be a little weird. First-person shooter Zelda.
Yeah, I don't know. Just shooting arrows everywhere. Oh, but that's typically how you shoot arrows is from a first-person perspective.
Oh, in Zelda?
Yeah. So when you pull out your bow and you shoot an arrow, it goes to a first-person mode.
Oh, interesting. I mean, my exposure to first-person was when Quake came out, and that. It's interesting, the stuff that always draws me.
Quake, because it was fucking Trent Reznor, right?
That's what I'm saying. It like the shit that drew me back to games each time was always something external. So like I loved Quake because it had the Trent Reznor soundtrack. I got drawn back to video gaming in general when I was home, and I realized my brother had WrestleMania 2000 for the N64 and Rogue One. I think it was Rogue One.
Rogue One, I think I've never played it, but people say good things.
There was a Star Wars game and there was the WrestleMania game for N64, and finally, like, we went through a patch there where we didn't get along very well, but I think this is when I was in college and I came home and he had the N64, and those two things, because I liked wrestling, I liked Star Wars, got me past whatever new dynamics that I wasn't familiar with. I sucked at both of them. I mean, less so with the wrestling one. I could kind of figure out the wrestling one because I'd always liked fighter games. You know, I'd liked Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. But yeah, and eventually, like, I did play on PC and Mac. I played like the sports games. I loved NBA Jam, not NBA Jam, NBA Live and Madden, the EA games, which had just enough customizability and just enough stuff and like stats or create but then they got out of your way to just play the game. And later times, like, I bought some of those kind of games for my Wii when I had the Wii.
Well, Wii wasn't the best system to play those games on.
But like, even controller mechanics aside, the problem I've found, and I find this in like even games on iOS, is the over-complication of like everything outside of the general game mechanic. When there's this kind of point, and then there's experience points, and like there's a Marvel game that I really like would love to love, where
love to love you, Marvel game.
But I really would. I would love to love it. But there's like, you get experience points which go here, and other experience points which go here to help you buy more characters or some goddamn thing. And there's too many things to keep track of. And I just want to play a superhero and go out and like beat up supervillains or something, or just like be the Hulk and Thor fighting each other. And I don't want to have to think about all this shit that happens in between me beating Thor and then Thor beating the shit out of me. Like, just get beyond that. Like, I've been very interested in the Lego games, but every time I've watched you play the Lego games, or Stephanie or my mom, I'm like, I can't keep track. Like, I don't know if I'm just dumb or not patient enough or what it is, but I see all this different shit on the screen that I've got to keep track of, and I'm just
Well, the Lego games are a little bit overwhelming with the amount of collecting you have to do.
Yeah, the open world thing is a neat idea.
It's not necessarily like, with the Lego games, it's not, well, at least with the Marvel one that was more of an open world, but like, the Lego Harry Potter ones was more constrained.
Okay. It's just the notion of like being able to go anywhere. Like, I like that idea, but really because maybe it's because I'm a writer, right? And when I'm writing, when I'm working, I get to go anywhere I want. When I sit down for relaxation, I kind of want more constraint. I don't want an open world. I want you to like.
You want to be like, here. There's a flag at the end of this level that you need to jump on, and then you beat it.
Yeah, exactly. Or you beat this guy up, and if you beat him up 2 out of 3 times, you win.
Yeah.
Like, cool, I get that. Or score more points than the other guy at the end of this basketball or football game. I get it. I don't know. I mean, does that make me? I probably makes me a fake geek guy, but.
Oh, and I forgot to mention Earthbound being one of the best games ever as well.
And that was Super NES.
Nintendo. Earthbound, it was a sort of contemporary RPG, and contemporary as far as the subject matter was in a modern time, as opposed to being a fantasy realm of swords and stuff. You were a little boy with a friggin' bat.
What games are supposed to be on the SNES Classic, have they said?
I think there's 21 of them, and most of them, in fact, I think all of them are good. Okay. And the surprise one was Star Fox 2, which was a game that never came out.
Oh, interesting. And is that game supposed to be any good?
I don't know. Yeah. No, I don't think people have played it.
Nobody knows. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's probably a mod out there of it that exists, but they're like, oh, let's wait, because I think the reason why they didn't release it is because at the time that it was going to be released is around the time the N64 was was premiering, so they didn't want to maybe they didn't want to distract. It's not so when the Switch was coming out, it's not like everybody they were like, let's have a major release on the Wii U and not the Switch. So that's probably their rationale back then. But they've had so many virtual consoles since. They had the virtual console on the Wii, on the Wii U, and they have yet to announce a virtual console on the Switch.
Yeah.
So they're so you've had opportunities to have Star Fox 2 come out and make money off of it.
Right.
But, your decision now to put it on a piece of equipment that you're not going to make enough of, that a lot of people are going to fucking want. That's interesting, huh?
That is interesting. My mom couldn't believe the other day is that we don't own, between her and us, because when we moved in, we kind of just merged our Wii libraries, that we don't own Mario Kart. And because I think my cousin, who has two boys, they love Mario Kart, and I'm not saying that it's a boy versus girl thing, but they love Mario Kart, and my kids have played it over there, but for whatever reason, we just never had.
I think Mario you can probably get Mario Kart for the Wii.
You can probably get Wii.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah,
that was one of the games that I think that was actually one of the best selling games for the Wii.
Yeah, I mean we.
So there's a lot out there.
Yeah, we went to, I think it was GameStop last year and bought up a whole bunch of the singing games. Because in theory, we really like the singing games, but the trouble is, I would love it if I could just have all the songs from the singing games in one interface instead of having to move the CDs.
I write the songs that make the whole world sing, Chris. I write the songs that make the young girls cry.
Why do you make young girls cry?
I write the songs. I write the songs.
All right, we got 7.5 minutes left.
But okay, so
and we've
if
got
anybody that's out there in the executive board of Nintendo Nintendo of America, and I'm not talking about Nintendo of Europe or Nintendo of Japan, I'm talking about Nintendo of America, make a fuck ton of these Super Nintendo Classic editions, because fucking people like me, and there's probably people out there that listen to this show that fucking want one. And we don't want to pay $250 or $300 on eBay for it. So if you don't create enough of them, we won't buy them, and we are going to be soured on your brand. So stop fucking around and make enough for the demand.
Amen.
Thank you. Jesus fucking Christ.
Should have been playing, what is it that plays under Bluto's speech when he's in Animal House? I feel like we should be playing music that's...
The going gets tough. The tough get going. Nintendo, stop fucking with us.
All right, there were a few other things on the list, that one doesn't matter. I want to hear about what I wrote down as Dentist the Menace.
Really, that's what you wrote down? I don't know if we get
I mean, I don't know. Do we have enough time? Maybe we don't have enough.
Maybe we don't have enough time. Let's try again next week.
Okay.
For that one.
The other two things are...
We'll talk about my dental adventures next time, because and it'll probably be closer to
when they really get excited.
Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah. The other two things were I think it's the 20th anniversary of Adventures in Babysitting, and my book.
I think maybe we should talk about your book. You could be like the critic. Buy my book.
Buy my book.
Buy my book.
Be like who?
The Critic?
The Critic? Oh, is that
You've never watched The Critic with John Lovitz?
John Lovitz? No, I was pretty sure that was the John Lovitz show. I don't know that I ever watched it.
Okay, well, I have it on DVD if you want to borrow it.
It's animated, right?
Yeah, it's basically from some of the producers of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Did The Critic. It was on ABC for maybe about 10 episodes, and I think they did about the same amount of episodes for a second season on Fox, and then it went away, which was a bummer because like the later episodes of the second season of The Critic, like are fucking great. And so they were really starting to hit their stride as far as like the humor and the writing, and it was just like, oh, and you guys didn't have it. It's not on Netflix.
No. There's something that made me think of. Yeah. But it was finally like, you know, like the first season is okay. Yeah.
And like the beginning of the second season is better, and you know, but it starts to get to the point where you're like, oh my God, this is great. And then they're like, no, done.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I like TV bugs me. I had a friend who I did we have to talk about my shirt. We haven't talked about that.
No, we need to talk about your book.
But I had a friend who was in my MFA program with me back in the day, Master of Fine Arts and Creative Writing, in case you're not sure what an MFA program is. And he was one of the creators and head writers on a show called No Tomorrow, which was on the CW this season. And I just found out...
C-dubs.
I just found out the show didn't get renewed. The show's not coming back. And I'm bummed, but I'm also like mad at myself because I'm the asshole who didn't watch it because I don't watch network TV. Like, but I added it to my Netflix queue, and I was like, well, hopefully it'll be back for a second season. But it wasn't. And so it's like... Well, you got to go out and support the shit that you want to see continue.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like I had a fucking Nielsen box in my house and I would have made any difference. But I'm sad that like it sounds like they made a good show, and like you're talking about with The Critic, it didn't get a chance to.
I mean, like if The Critic was out around the time where Family Guy got canceled. There might have been enough public outcry,
right?
Like there was with Family Guy, to bring it back.
Yeah.
And Family Guy, I think, might have been one of the first shows that got resurrected.
Yeah,
because like, you know, there was enough. Like I think it was DVD that kind of saved Family Guy.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, people watched it sort of on the first run. I remember watching the first episode of Family Guy because it was on during the Super Bowl that year. And I remember not liking it that much.
Yeah.
And then, like, time passes.
Right.
The show, like, you know, I think they made it to their third season before they got canceled.
Yeah.
The show finally got better. And, like, you know, and, like, because, like, if you watch the first season of The Simpsons, it's not that great.
Yeah.
Like, the first season of The Simpsons is kind of garbage, but... You know, there are some funny parts to it,
right?
But it doesn't start hitting its stride until, like, I think the middle to the end of the second season,
right.
And then you're like, wow, this is a fantastic show.
Yeah.
But The Simpsons had the benefit of being the only primetime like cartoon. Animated show around. I mean, and then like around the time when The Simpsons was really hitting its stride was when other things were trying to break out, like, you know. I think there was Fish Police and no, I'm not joking. This was a fucking show.
I believe you.
And like there was Capital Critters, and it was like little, like I think it was mice that lived in fucking Washington D.C. These are fucking shows that happened because of The Simpsons, and they failed. But the Critic was great, and you know, it was one of those things that I think may have. I think it might have gotten a little. It might have gotten short shrift because of fucking Capital Critters and other things that people brought out in prime time to try to compete with The Simpsons. And
weird.
I don't know.
I got a minute left.
Plug your book, and then we'll do the plugs.
And well, so like, and hopefully I don't shit the bed, and I actually get this together for Monday or for Wednesday. I don't know when I'm gonna officially put this out there, but man, I'm
so happy 4th of July, everybody, and go America. Maybe we'll come back from this crazy shit that's happening.
Maybe. But speaking of that, like life is short, right? So I've been
Life is short, life is shit, and soon it will be over. My mother used to say that when I was a boy, but it sounds better in the original Croatian. Brain Candy, it's a great movie, watch it.
I think the episode is in the original Croatian. No, so like I've been working on the same damn book in one shape or form for 20 fucking years, and like everybody said, I'm working on my novel, and I've been saying this to people forever, so I'm turning 40 this year, and this year, oh god, I'm saying it out loud. This is I don't like making decisions, Steve. We've talked about.
You're making a decision, Chris.
It's because I'm wearing this.
You're wearing a fucking loud shirt.
This shirt is almost as old as my book. I bought this shirt in 2001. I started writing the book in 1997 in one shape or form. My book's coming out this year.
It's a novel.
It's called Missing.
It is not short stories. It is a novel.
It is a novel. It's called Missing Mr. Wingfield. And I am putting it out myself because agents didn't want it. And you know, I was talking to a lot of people over the weekend, and we've been talking about small presses, and you know, there's other avenues out there where it could happen. But here's the thing, Steve.
What is the thing, Chris?
I need to be done with this book because I need to start writing the next book, and I need closure, and so I'm putting it out myself because I've got a big DIY streak in me. I don't know who put it there.
Do it yourself.
Do it yourself. I like to do it myself, Steve. I've been doing it myself for. I got a book. It's coming out.
What's it called?
It's called Missing Mr. Wingfield.
Missing Mr. Wingfield.
It's I love alliteration.
A little bit of a tongue twister, but Missing Mr. Wingfield.
Wingfield, yes.
Wingfield?
And if you you're going to be able to get it two ways. Right now, so if you want to join my Patreon, anybody who has donated or will donate, I think it's going to be $12 to my Patreon at any time over the course of my Patreon.
So $12 in total.
Yeah, at any time, you'll get a copy of the book. And
you're like Oprah. You get a book, and you get a book,
and you get a book, and I'm also going to. I hadn't decided, but I guess right now I've decided since it's $12 on Patreon, it's got to be $12 everywhere. So if you want to just pay $12 at my website at clarkwiz.com, you're going to just be able to pay the $12. And it'll be ready for you in October.
Well,
I'm gonna put it out
so you're like
for my goddamn birthday.
You're like Henry Hill, like fuck you, pay me.
Fuck you, pay me.
And you'll get this book.
You'll get this book, yes. If you would like to take a guess, this is good. If you want to take a guess at what the title "Missing Mr. Wingfield" means, what it refers to, Missing Mr. Wingfield, and you send that to hot@clarkwoods.com.
Ooh, we've got a sweepstakes.
I will give you a free physical copy of the book if you're the first person
to guess it
write
correctly
in and guess correctly what Missing Mr. Wingfield is a reference to.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
The first person, only the first person.
First person.
Just.
I gotta make.
If you're gonna have a fucking sweepstakes, we gotta make sure we fucking establish some sort of. Some parameters, so you're not giving away a bunch of books.
Yeah. It would be nice to sell some, but honestly, that's the thing. So I don't want to get too much off on a tangent. We're already over time, but
what over time? People fucking can listen for as long as they want.
So here's the thing, Steve, is that
maybe we should have plugged the book in the middle of the fucking show.
No. I'm just gonna be really quick.
No, I'm just saying it so because people are like, well, they're just doing plugs.
Yeah, no, but here's where I'm coming from is that putting out books is a business, right? And so far there haven't been. I think it's a good book. I'm not saying that because agents didn't want it, it's a bad book. And I think they would say the same thing. Finding an agent is a very subjective thing. Finding even a small publisher is a very subjective thing. And they're businesses. They got to put. They're going to make decisions about how many copies they can sell or whatever. This is a thing that I'm ready to put out into the world. It can be put out into the world on the cheap, and nobody at a publisher or is going to have to front a whole bunch of fucking money. I'm fronting the money, or people who pre-order the book or support me on Patreon are helping to front the money. And then it's out there, and it can be read. Nobody's making a huge financial investment. I don't have to earn back an advance. I've done. If people are out there like thinking, "Oh, he's making a rash decision," I've been working on this for 20 years.
Well, you are covered in a rash probably from that shirt.
You can find the show notes for this episode at clarkwards.com/hot/153. And if you would like to enter our sweepstakes or talk about anything we've talked about on this episode, you can send the emails to hot@clarkwards.com, or you can tweet us.
You can tweet Chris directly.
I am at ECC1977.
If you send me tweets about the book, I'm not going to give any shits about it because I don't know what the fucking answer to the question is. But you can tweet me about anything else at Tuesday is loser. That's Tuesday is loser. All one word.
All one word. All one word. I fucking I always say the same fucking thing when you say that. Always. And like half the time it ends up with like all one word and one for all. And I just.
We watched Robin Hood Men in Tights today.
Did you?
Yes.